Joaquín Archibaldo Guzmán Loera, later known to the world as El Chapo, was born on April 4, 1957, in a tiny mountain village called La Tuna, located in the rugged region of Sinaloa, Mexico. His family was extremely poor, living in a simple house made of mud and wood. Life in the mountains was hard. There were no paved roads, no modern schools, and no hospitals nearby. His parents struggled to put food on the table. Growing up in such conditions, little Joaquín learned early that survival was not easy. Poverty marked his childhood, and it planted in him a burning desire to escape that life and make something bigger for himself. Joaquín's father worked as a cattle rancher, but he also secretly grew opium poppies, which were used to make heroin. From a very young age, Joaquín had to help in the fields instead of focusing on education. He attended school only until the 3rd grade, and then dropped out because his family needed his labor. He spent his days farming, carrying water, and trying to help feed his siblings. But there was something else. He was often beaten by his father, who was known for being abusive. To escape his father's harshness, Joaquín sometimes ran away and stayed with his grandmother. These painful experiences shaped him into someone who trusted very few people and believed that power came only from control and money. Joaquín was short in height, standing only about 5 feet 6 inches tall, and some even say less. In the tough villages of Sinaloa, people teased him and called him El Chapo, a slang word in Spanish meaning shorty. At first, it was just a local nickname, not something powerful. Children mocked him, and older boys didn't take him seriously. But as he grew older and became more dangerous, that same nickname turned into a brand of fear. By the time he rose in the drug world, when people heard El Chapo, they didn't think of a short man. They thought of a powerful drug lord who could control armies and shake governments. By his teenage years, El Chapo was already exposed to the drug trade. His father's small opium farm gave him his first lessons in how drugs were grown, harvested, and sold. He saw how buyers would come, pay cash, and leave with goods that were worth more than his family could ever imagine. The young boy began to understand that while farming corn or beans gave little return, farming drugs brought big money. He realized that if he wanted to escape poverty, the legal path was too slow and limited. This was when he quietly began to shift his energy from survival farming into helping expand drug cultivation in his area. The Sinaloa Mountains were filled with people who lived by one rule: you either get rich through drugs or stay poor forever. Joaquín understood this early. He was not the strongest, not the tallest, and not the most educated, but he had sharp instincts. He paid close attention to how deals were made, how people transported drugs without getting caught, and how loyalty worked in the underworld. He learned that betrayal was punished by death, and trust was the most valuable currency. These lessons became the foundation of his survival skills, which later helped him rise above others in the dangerous drug trade. As a young man, El Chapo didn't just stick to opium farming. He also began working with marijuana cultivation, which at the time was one of the biggest illegal exports from Mexico. He managed small farms, cutting and drying the plants, and learning how the product was packaged for smuggling into the United States. Marijuana was in high demand, and Joaquín saw how much money was flowing in. This gave him a deeper sense of the drug economy. What products were more profitable, how to move them across borders, and how to hide from the authorities. Slowly, his role changed from a poor farm boy to a clever smuggler in the making. In the world of crime, connections are everything. El Chapo's real turning point came when he met Hector Luis Palma Salazar, a rising trafficker in Sinaloa. Palma noticed Joaquín's loyalty and his ability to get things done. He gave him responsibilities that went beyond farming, like organizing shipments, making sure drugs reached their destinations, and keeping workers in line. This was the first time Joaquín worked under a real cartel boss. Through Palma, he was introduced to bigger players in the underworld, which opened the doors to even greater opportunities. For El Chapo, this was the moment when his life truly changed. He was no longer just a boy from the mountains. He was stepping into the dangerous and powerful world of organized crime. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, El Chapo became a member of the Guadalajara Cartel, led by Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo. This was one of the most powerful drug organizations in Mexico. It became his real school of crime. El Chapo was known for being reliable. If he promised to deliver drugs, he always made sure they arrived, no matter the risks. This built his reputation as a trusted and dangerous man in the underworld. In 1989, Félix Gallardo was arrested, and the Guadalajara Cartel collapsed. This opened the door for new cartels to rise. El Chapo and others quickly filled the power vacuum. From the ashes of the Guadalajara Cartel, El Chapo helped form the Sinaloa Cartel. This group would go on to become the largest and most powerful drug cartel in the world. El Chapo was smart. Instead of fighting only for drugs, he fought for roots, the paths through which cocaine, heroin, and marijuana moved from Mexico into the United States. Whoever controlled the routes controlled the money. El Chapo became famous for building underground tunnels to smuggle drugs into the U.S. These tunnels were advanced, with lighting and ventilation. They made him harder to stop. While marijuana and heroin were profitable, the real money was in cocaine. El Chapo made deals with Colombian cartels to move their cocaine through Mexico, turning Sinaloa into a global powerhouse. El Chapo was known for his violence. Anyone who betrayed him was executed. Rival cartels feared him because he used brutal tactics, including mass killings and public executions to send messages. By the 1990s, El Chapo was already a billionaire. He owned properties, businesses, and private armies. Forbes even listed him among the richest men in the world. Money bought him protection. El Chapo bribed police officers, judges, soldiers, and even politicians. This allowed him to operate freely while the authorities looked the other way. In 1993, El Chapo was captured in Guatemala and extradited to Mexico. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Many thought his empire would fall. Even behind bars, El Chapo continued running the Sinaloa Cartel. His influence was so strong that prison walls could not stop his power. In 2001, El Chapo made his first legendary escape. He hid inside a laundry cart and was rolled out of the prison. This shocked the world and made him a legend in Mexico. After his escape, El Chapo came back stronger. He expanded the Sinaloa Cartel's territory and clashed with rivals, including the Juarez and Tijuana cartels. By the 2000s, El Chapo controlled the majority of drugs entering the United States. His network stretched across continents, from South America to Europe and Asia. The fight for power led to bloody wars in Mexico. Tens of thousands of people died in battles between cartels. Entire cities lived in fear of El Chapo's men. In many poor communities, El Chapo was seen as a hero. He gave money to the needy, built houses, and paid for local events. Some called him Robin Hood, even though his wealth came from drugs and death. For over a decade, El Chapo was Mexico's most wanted criminal. The U.S. also placed a multi-million-dollar reward on his head. After years of hunting, Mexican authorities captured El Chapo in 2014. His arrest was celebrated worldwide as a major victory against organized crime. El Chapo was placed in a maximum security prison. Authorities swore he would never escape again, but they underestimated him. In 2015, El Chapo escaped once more, this time through a mile-long tunnel dug directly into his prison cell. The tunnel had electricity, rails, and a motorcycle. The world was stunned. His escape embarrassed Mexico's government. It showed that his money and influence could still buy loyalty inside the system. After months on the run, El Chapo was finally caught again in 2016. This time, he was kept under stricter security. In 2017, El Chapo was extradited to the U.S. Authorities knew that Mexico's prisons could not hold him. He was sent to face trial in New York. El Chapo's trial in 2019 revealed shocking details about his empire: bribes to politicians, secret killings, and billions of dollars in profits. Witnesses included former cartel members who turned against him. El Chapo was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. He was also ordered to forfeit $12.6 billion, the estimated profit of his cartel. Today, El Chapo is held in ADX Florence, a U.S. supermax prison in Colorado. It is called the Alcatraz of the Rockies. There, escape is impossible. Even though he is locked away, El Chapo's legend continues. His cartel still operates, run by his sons and other leaders. His story remains a symbol of power, corruption, and the dark side of ambition.